So this is the 200th episode of the Crackcast, guys. We started, 16 months ago? Nobody knew about us, no listeners, and here we are a year and 4 months later.
Still nobody knows about us.
Yes. But there's a lot more to know about us.
And we have like 6 or 7, maybe 10 listeners, something like that. How do you feel after 200 episodes, guys?
Oh, just
barely counted 200. Do we finally figure out how to?
I'm really sick of you guys, to be honest. I really haven't. Dave's not here to offer his thoughts. He's taking the weekend off, but he's listening. So,
small mercies, yeah.
Dave, when you're back next week, tell us how you feel after 200 episodes. Thanks for listening.
Wait until we get to 333.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Oh, and don't forget, go to our site, crackhouse.pl. There's a donate button there, and if the spirit moves you, if you like what we're doing, if you want to see us do another 200 episodes, or if you want to stop us from doing it, or whatever motivation you have, I don't care. Just hit the donate button. It takes you to PayPal. It's really easy to do. So please consider that. And thank you again to everybody who's already made a donation. We really, really appreciate it. So today's episode, well, first of all, let me just say up front, it's inspired by a message we got from one of our 6 or 7 listeners through our Facebook page. He suggested that we talk about something. Actually, I think it's a good idea, but I've kind of expanded it. It's a subject that me, as a foreigner, I have a very different opinion about this than Polish people do. Josh, we'll see what you think. Dr. Mike, as our token Polish person, you'll give us your take. I don't know what you think about this, but it was one particular subject, and I've expanded it to maybe 5 or 6 different subjects, all kind of like the common thread here is things that foreign people notice about Poland that strikes them as odd. Now, let me just say, first of all, that generally speaking, I think this is kind of a cliched subject. I don't like it very much when we're talking about like superficial things like, things that people who've been in the country for 6 hours notice, right? Oh, Polish is such a crazy language. Poles love their vodka. Ha ha ha. The stuff that makes for inane, lame Facebook threads. I kind of tend to steer away from that. But what I do like, and what I do find interesting, is the deeper stuff, the stuff you notice if you've lived here for some time. You've spent time among the natives, and you've seen how they behave, and you say, that's odd. In a particular way about how life is organized here, this strikes me as weird or different. Now, a couple of these things I'm just skeptical of. 1 or 2, I just think you're insane, Poland. Sorry, that's my position. And a couple of others, I'm just confused. So we'll go around the room with Dr. Mike and Josh. And by the way, before we dive into the specifics here, I have kept both Dr. Mike and Josh in the dark about these. They don't know what's on my list. And I did this intentionally to get, their real spontaneous, fresh takes on these subjects, okay? So I know. I'm getting there. Dave is listening to this saying, God damn it, John, shut the fuck up and get to it. But okay, well, I'm getting to it. Okay, again, all things that we as foreign people maybe have different opinions than Polish people. Okay, the first one. Now, this first one is the one that the listener on Facebook that I mentioned earlier, this is the one that he specifically mentioned to me. I think it's a really, really good subject, something we've never talked about on our show before. And it's about something called Halny. Halny. Now, if you don't know, Halny is a weather phenomenon. It's a wind. It's a warm wind generated kind of as a byproduct of the
digestion.
Generated as a result of the geography of the Tatra mountain range. It starts at the top of the mountains, comes down the mountains, heading north towards Krakow and the whole Podhala region and whatnot. Now,
how come it's a warm wind if it's coming?
Well, it has to do with the fact that as the air pressure increases as it drops down, it works kind of like a heat pump. So, the air is generally cold, but it still has energy in it. So when it's compressed, it starts to warm up.
He's so talented,
That's
Dr. Mike.
Very, very good, yes.
Isn't he? Can you see? So I'm really
absolutely
impressed.
Accept that as a
meteorologist and doctor. Okay. Anyway, so I'm not challenging or questioning the existence of Halny as a weather phenomenon. Okay, I get that, but here's where it gets weird for me, and here's where I'm going to commit heresy as far as a lot of Polish people are concerned. Polish people, again, if you don't know this, Polish people think Halny is responsible for a very, very long list of phenomenon. It has very, very significant and noticeable effects on your health and just everything. I have a headache. It's Halny. My back hurts. It's Halny. I'm in a bad mood. It's Halny. My kids are driving me crazy. It's Halny. The stock market is down. It's Halny. Everything is Halny. And I'm here to say, Polish people, sorry, but I think you're crazy. I don't think Halny affects you the way that you think it does. Now, Dr. Mike, I want to start with you because I want you to give us your as a doctor, give us the medical view. What can these low pressure, warm weather winds or warm winds legitimately do to your physiology or state of physical being? Anything?
Pretty much nothing. I mean,
See, there you have it. There's the answer. Pretty much nothing.
What happens is this usually happens a lot in the fall when the temperatures finally start to like go below freezing. So you have a few days where it's freezing, and all of a sudden the next day the temperature increases by 15 degrees Celsius, and it's windy. And you've just gotten used to being cold, and all of a sudden it's actually quite warm. If there was any snow or ice, it melts away, so it becomes wet, and it's even though it's warmer, it can be quite unpleasant. And this can happen several times during the fall and during the winter seasons. But basically now in Poland, whenever there's warm wind, they call it Halny, which is not...
And can you confirm, by the way, the fact that, as a Polish person yourself, can you confirm that Poles, there's a mass psychological phenomenon where the whole country believes that Halny is responsible for lots of things?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're going to talk about this topic, but it comes to the same issue of like air pressure. I don't know if you're going to mention that.
Well, it's related. Go ahead.
Yeah, but whenever the air pressure is low in Poland, they mention it in the news as if somebody cares how many hectopascals it is. And then everybody always says, "Oh, my head hurts. It must be the low pressure. Oh, I can't concentrate at work. It must be the low blood pressure, low air pressure."
I've heard this millions of times.
And I've actually argued with people at work over this. I've tried to go into the documentation and the research on this, and there's basically nothing suggesting this is true. I mean, you've heard those stories about like old people complaining like, "Oh, it's going to rain tonight. My knee hurts."
Yeah.
That's kind of true.
Is there something to that? People with arthritis, for example.
It can cause a certain amount of discomfort if there's a large change in air pressure in a short period of time, but not to the point where you're actually going to have headaches, feel bad, or anything wrong with you. But in Poland, it's like, there was like a low pressure system about 2 or 3 weeks in Poland, which the pressure got very, very low. And they were actually almost announcing it as if it was going to be some kind of national emergency. And I found one article from Australia
crazy.
from like 3 years ago where they actually monitored doctors' visits and air pressure, and they found no correlation there whatsoever. It was like nobody getting sicker more often or anything like that.
Josh, do you have any experience or history with Halny?
Short answer, no, not really. Although, yeah, you do hear people kind of occasionally go, "Oh, it's
a thing.
It's the pressure." But I do want to make one point abundantly clear.
What's that?
Which is that in the science of meteorology, I use the word advisedly, of course, but there are really kind of like 4 primary indicators that weather forecasters use for guessing what the weather is going to be. And they are temperature, humidity, wind speed, and air pressure. And all of these things are very, very useful metrics. And the most important thing about them is not what they actually are, but what they have been and what is the trend, if you like. I mean, kind of, ships, for example, since, even before they had kind of good clocks, would have a thermometer and a barometer. And a barometer, as you, of course, all know, is what measures atmospheric pressure. Yeah. And the thing about a barometer is, and if you've ever seen a barometer, it has the kind of the range of the spectrum, if you like, of ambient air pressures. And next to each one, around the dial, there will be kind of fair or kind of increasing cloudy or increasing stormy or blah 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 blah. And the important thing with the barometer is not where the needle is resting so much as where it has come from, which is why you get 2 needles on a barometer. One that you set yourself and the other that is the one that actually responds to the air pressure.
I feel like somebody should step in here and have you accelerate this point to the end.
So you read the barometer, you set the fixed needle, and then, like 6 hours later, you go up to it, you give it a little tap because often it needs a bit of encouragement.
What you're saying is air pressure matters.
Yeah, and it's very often it's the change in air pressure. That's
okay, but at the same time, like Dr. Mike says, I mean, okay, maybe for the weatherman on TV station, okay, it's important for him or for her, but for your average person, basically what we want to know is it going to rain tomorrow, and how hot or cold is it going to be? That's pretty much it, right? But in Poland, there's a third variable that people really keep an eye on. I mean, your regular people on the street, it's just air pressure.
I mean, in the air pressure, when you see in the U.S. on the news, when we're talking about high pressure, low pressure zones, that has to do with the fact, like with high pressures, you have clear, nice skies, but like in the wintertime, generally colder. And low pressure usually means, weather is coming along. And that's the reason you talk about it. Not
let me bring this. Like we got a few other topics to talk about, but just to wrap this up, Dr. Mike, is it fair to say, and you tell me if I'm putting
deplatformed here.
Tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth here, that the Halny is responsible for all these, this long list of problems is basically, there's very little medical scientific basis for it.
I've never seen anything that will convince me to believe that there is any kind of
professional medical opinion.
Yes, it is. It's all BS.
All right, people. Halny is not responsible for your bad mood. Sorry.
You're just
not convinced. Not convinced.
Let's move on. Here's another medical phenomenon. Again, the topic is things that, as a foreigner, I find really weird. Also in the medical field, this is something we talked about once on our show a few months ago, I think. But this is, every time I step into a pharmacy, every time I watch TV for more than 20 minutes and see a commercial break, this pops back into my head. The subject of liver pills and liver health. This is weird. Walk into a pharmacy in Poland, and I mean, your larger, what's it called, like Super Farm, or what are the other pharmacies, Rossmann and whatnot. Well, pharmacy, you know what a pharmacy is. Describe what a pharmacy is. Anyway, walk into a pharmacy, and there's always a whole section. Man. There's a whole section dedicated to liver health. And you watch TV for any amount of time, and you come to the first commercial break. There's going to be 2 or 3 commercials for Liverpool. Liver pills.
That's especially for Dave.
Thinking about
especially for Dave, yeah.
Liver pills. Now, this is weird because, look, I come from a country where, if you could sell it, God damn it, it's going to be on TV wall to wall, and every opportunity to sell that product is going to be taken advantage of, including, floor space, shelf space at Walmart, and TV commercials and all the rest of it. In my entire life, I never saw a single ad for a single product related to liver health. It's only my time in Poland that I know about this. So leads to the obvious question: does Poland know something the rest of us don't know, or if for some reason the American pharmaceutical industry has overlooked an opportunity to sell liver pills? Dr. Mike, again, your medical experience, step in here and enlighten us. What's going on here?
When it comes to dietary supplementation, like in school, they basically told us that most of it's BS. Unless you are severely depleted in something, there's no real reason to take a pill of vitamins or some kind of nutrients or anything like that. You have to be starving or have some kind of actual physical abnormality causing you to have malabsorption of vitamins, minerals, etc. With these liver pills, I don't understand it myself either. Like, they never told us anything about this as some kind of like secret sauce that, like, if you drink too much, take these pills. I've looked at some of the, what's it called, like the ingredients in these things. They're all over the place, from like herbs and spices to just like sugar and things like that. And I never seem too consistent. And
magic sauce.
Yeah, I just honestly, I think it's mainly placebo. Maybe there is something there. I don't know, but I've never been able to like find anything substantial.
But what is what's the health threat that these pills are?
I mean, they're basically saying that when you eat too many fatty foods or drink too much alcohol, this causes liver damage. Okay, that's true. And then you're supplementing something to make up for the damage. The thing is, the liver regenerates more or less anyway.
Well, the commercials seem to indicate there's some kind of connection with something like indigestion, post-meal discomfort because of your liver. Is that a thing?
Thing is, that's really stretching it, because if you do eat a lot of fatty foods and mix alcohol with it, this kind of screws up the system in your body that deals with digesting and absorbing fats. But it has to do more with like bile and the gallbladder, and that can cause some inflammation or discomfort. It's not necessarily just the liver, and that usually means that you have some underlying medical problems to begin with, and maybe you should cut back on very fatty foods and alcohol at the same time. These pills, I don't really see how they would affect that either way. A lot of people just eat a lot and become gassy and full anyway, and they think that's pain. No, that just means you ate too much, you fat asshole.
Calm down. But can you confirm, just for our listeners, that, again, if they haven't thought about it, which I kind of understand if they've never thought about liver pills, go to a pharmacy and there's 15 different kinds.
There's so many there. They're incredible. All, and they're all like showing like these natural herby kind of packaging, will help you deal with your problems of digestion, etc.
I never knew I had a liver problem until I lived here. Josh, any thoughts on liver pills?
Well, of course, the first thing I thought was that not that they were pills for your liver, but they were pills made from liver. Which I kind of could sort of see in a way, because, when I was young, I was encouraged to eat, huge quantities of liver.
Yeah, they always say liver's supposed to be good for you.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah, it is actually quite.
Yeah. Iron and
B12 vitamins.
B12,
It's a concentration of a lot of good things.
So there's that. I mean, I guess there's the possible, like compared to say Great Britain or maybe the bulk of the United States, there's been a kind of long-standing tradition in this country for drinking distilled alcohol, sometimes in great quantity, and maybe there is a history of kind of liver complaints.
Now that's
related
interesting that
to
you mentioned
alcohol
that.
consumption.
Do you think, either of you, Josh, Dr. Mike, do you think that framing the liver pills as a solution for eating problems is kind of a mask for its real purpose, which is to take before the big party you go to, but they can't say that in the commercial, so they use overeating.
Well,
as
I think
the
that's a
justification.
reasonable conjecture.
You think that could be, Dr. Mike?
Though there are pills you can buy in the pharmacy that are, this will prevent discomfort and hangovers, if you take it before or
Maybe
during.
they're hangover pills in disguise. Something like that.
With these liver pills, and the funny thing is, it's like usually the pain you feel after overeating and drinking at the same time isn't actually your liver. It's more like the gallbladder and like the upper GI tract that's just having trouble, dealing with all this stuff. Gas is building up. So taking something for the liver when it's not the liver that's actually hurting is kind of odd.
Yeah, well, it's no weirder than taking antibiotics to deal with viruses, really, is it? But
So once again, same question I asked you before about the Halny, Dr. Mike. And again, if I'm putting words in your mouth, let me know. Is it fair to say that Poland has this weird obsession with liver health?
Yes, they do.
Okay. I'm 2 for 2 so far. Thank you. Let's move on. Oh, this one. This one. I'm going to get some hate for this one. But I'm going to stand by my position. This is one of those things where I'm right and everybody else is wrong. Okay, here's the situation. You're at a bus stop or a tram stop, or you're on a bus or a tram, and somebody walks up to the ticket machine trying to buy a ticket. They put a coin in, and the coin goes right through the machine. The machine doesn't take it. It just goes right out the bottom, and So the person takes the coin out, puts it in again, and same thing, goes right through the machine. Now, the next step, about 90% of all Polish people are going to do this. What are they going to do? They're going to take that coin and they're going to scratch the machine with the coin. As if that's going to do something. As if the problem is some electromagnetic charge missing in the coin. I look at this and my jaw drops every time I see this. I cannot believe, what the hell are you doing? The problem is it's mechanical. There's a little hair trigger, like a little sensor that's not, triggering or censoring when you put the coin in. That's the problem. The problem is not the coin hasn't been scratched against the metal. And you can see ticket machines here right above, in one of the corners where the paint has been kind of scratched away. I'm not getting any nods of recognition from you guys. Please tell me you've seen this, and please tell me you're equally confused.
I've heard about this,
as I am.
and I never quite understood it. Somebody told me because there's magnet sensors, and you need to ground it out.
Magnets.
And the thing is, if the coin doesn't go through, if I used to have a problem with a machine like that, I would just flick it harder or softer into it.
There you go. It's about the touch, the finesse, or maybe that's the brute force. Josh?
I do remember a thing that you would see from time to time in the UK, where we had ticket machines with a similar kind of predilection for rejection from time to time, and you'd try to put it through twice. If it got rejected the second time, you'd lick the coin, and very often, it would work.
Wow, that is gross.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, my theory about that is because probably the sensors work on a combination of the size of the coin and the weight of the coin. And older coins are going to be kind of, microscopically lighter than new coins because of erosion. And so possibly applying a thin film of saliva to said coin just
that is disgusting.
Boosts its weight sufficiently.
They directly lick the coin, because if I thought that would work, I would still just lick my finger and then touch the coin,
Yeah, isn't it kind of like
even though I still think that's kind of a dumb
the same
thing
category as train station toilet seats, I think. It's just gross. I mean, what's worse than licking coins?
Well, lots of things are worse than that.
Okay, let's not go there. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty bad though.
But anyway, I mean,
Horrible.
I say that not to disagree with you, John, because I think that kind of when I observe people, and I can assure you that I never spent much time licking like British currency.
Okay, good.
In the hope of
I was worried.
securing my ticket, but. This doesn't in any way explain the utility of scratching the coin on a kind of like carefully demarcated portion of the ticket machine.
All right, final thoughts on the machine scratching coins, Dr. Mike?
Sounds idiotic. I just wonder now, when so many people are paying contactless, if their card doesn't get accepted right away, do they tap the card on the side of the machine as well?
Oh, you'll see that, I'm sure. Yeah.
People, please stop scratching the machines with the coin. It does nothing. There's zero relationship between.
It's better when we were talking last week about the ticket machines.
Come on. Well, yeah.
Definitely don't want to lick the coin then.
All right, let's move on. This one is on my mind because we saw it this past week. We're recording this on, what's today? Friday the 21st, right? Yeah. So yesterday was Fat Thursday with the pączki. By the way, I ate 0 donuts yesterday. I don't know how that happened, but anyway.
At work, they gave us one.
And...
yeah, but about the donuts.
And it got me thinking about this because Polish people will stand in line for pączki, that they will insist, oh, these are the best. This place, oh my God, this place has the best. Now, there are 2 complaints, and there are 2 observations I'm going to make on this subject. One, we talked about this some time ago in the context of ice cream, I think. Why do Poles stand in line in a particular place because they're convinced that this place has the best in the world, when it may or may not? And the other is about the pączki. Okay, I have to introduce a word for part of our audience. I think a lot of Polish speakers will not know this word. It's an obscure word, even for a lot of English speakers. The word is fungible. Fungible. Josh, what's a synonym for fungible? Is something that there's nothing unique about it. In other words, it can be substituted for anyone other like its kind. In other words,
well, actually, I mean, the most kind of.
Well, let's define fungible.
Yeah, the most basic example of something that is fungible is money.
Money, sugar, bread. You don't, like, if I borrow, for example, money. If I borrow 10 zlotys from you, I don't have to give you that exact same 10 zloty note back. I can give you a different one because it's the same thing. If I borrow a cup of sugar from you, I can give you a cup of sugar back from a different package of sugar, right? Whereas if I borrow a book from you, you probably want that same book back. Books are not fungible. So this is a roundabout way of making my point, which I'm convinced that 99% of all pączki in Poland are fungible. It doesn't matter which one you get. They're all basically the same. I think the same way about pierogi, by the way, but that's a different subject. When was the last time you ate a pączki and you said, oh my God, this one is way, way better, different, whatever, than any pączki I've ever had in my life? I'll tell you when. Never, because it never happens. Dr. Mike, jump in.
They're super fresh. They do taste nicer than like one that's been out for 12 hours.
No, but not unique.
And exactly, I agree. I think there might not be ones that are a lot better, but I think there are pączki which are subpar, especially like the supermarket ones, because usually they're dried out. The sweetness isn't right. The filling is kind of
just like the frozen pierogi from the frozen food section.
Okay, so we've got an issue. We've got an issue here with freshness, kind of like, and I'm surprised that you're kind of like saying all of this, John. Really,
why is that?
As someone who has kind of,
I take the controversial stance.
As someone who has on more than one occasion kind of, clearly kind of demarcated between Krispy Kreme and Dunkin'.
Well, Krispy Kreme is different. It is different. No, it is.
No, it has different ingredients. I agree with him here.
There's different tastes. There's a unique taste.
They can't even spell donut
properly.
properly.
Look at it this way. Pączki can't even be branded. They're so generic. They're so fungible that they're not even branded. There's never a brand name attached to a pączki, except your local bakery, maybe. But things like pierogis and pączki are so kind of, again, fungible, generic, that nobody can step in and say, look, this is our proprietary blend, recipe, way of preparing it, whatever, and you're going to notice a difference when you taste it. Nobody does that because it can't be done.
Well, look, it's an issue of freshness, isn't it? I mean, clearly that's a very, very important thing. And I mean, I kind of, whilst I more or less agree with you that probably there isn't that much difference between one pączka and another pączka, I think there's the other phenomenon is the unbelievably absurd quantities of these things that, never mind that they buy, but they actually put away. I mean, just on this one, I mean, it's a weird kind of, like, oh, you see it on Facebook, like 25, I had 25 donuts today, or, I mean.
Huge.
What is.
I had 0, by the way, again.
And one thing I
had 1.
One of the main reasons I think they are more or less interchangeable is because it's considered traditional that on today, when you have those pączki, they're supposed to have the rose petal filling, which I found extremely boring and bland. I think the only way you can discriminate between pączki is if, like, in one bakery, they might be known for having like a different type of special filling.
I think Mike's onto something here.
And that's the same with like Krispy Kreme. Like a donut generally is more or less the same. It can be a little less or more fluffy, but then the added on stuff, the different kind of fillings, different kind of creams and stuff can really change the flavor.
Here's what confuses me. These people who will swear that this is the best bakery in the world, OMG, and they'll stand in line for 2 hours to buy. On Wednesday afternoon, they didn't give a shit. Today, Friday, don't care. I know Thursday, Fat Thursday, you're supposed to eat on Thursday. I get that. But they're kind of indifferent about something for 364 days a year. Then one day, just like carpet Christmas Eve, they pretend to like it, but okay, why don't you eat it on the other days if it's so good? Well,
yeah, well, look, John, you see, you turn up at the office kind of 45 minutes late, kind of like on a normal day, that would be a problem with your line manager. You turn up 45 minutes late on Fat Thursday.
With pączki.
With 2 boxes piled high with fresh donuts.
All is forgiven.
And you are, the second coming.
Oh, God, this actually reminds me, I have to say this pączki anecdote. We're living in
Pączki anecdote.
we were living in the States, and it was Fat Thursday, and we were living in D.C. then, but my parents were for some like business reasons, whatever, in Chicago, and then they were flying back to D.C.
Such jet setters.
And basically there was like a Polish bakery there that made pączki for them. And they made 3 or 4 boxes, each one with 20 inside, super fresh, delivered right at the airport.
All the same, by the way, probably.
But still, freshly baked's good, so it smells wonderful.
Fresh and all the same, but yeah.
And they're getting on the plane, and basically they asked the stewardesses, oh, could you put these to the side somewhere? This is back in the day when flying was actually a pleasant experience. But, they gave 1 or 2 to the pilots and to the stewardesses, but the people on the plane were tormented because it's like a small little metal tube, and then you smell these freshly baked donuts in there, and you think they're giving us donuts today. No.
Wah, wah. Sorry.
Enjoy. And this was in America where people are renowned for their slimness and lack of appetite.
Enjoy your flight. One more thing that I noticed yesterday all over Facebook, all the media outlets, they love, this is a staple of Polish media. They love to write these articles, who really has the best pączki in Krakow? Who really has the best ice cream in Krakow? And we'll see the ice cream article starting in about 4 months at the beginning of the summertime. It's just cycle. You see this every year. People stand in line. The lines kill me. No comments about the lines. Why people would you stand in line for 2 hours for a goddamn donut, no matter how good it was?
No,
I wouldn't. Wait. If I saw more than 2 or 3 people in front of me, I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, exactly. Who's got time to stand in line for 1 hour, for 30 minutes for a pączek that you can get anytime?
Especially now that they have those new places around town where they make pączki year round. Have you noticed those places on the underpass?
Oh yeah, there is a place there. Yeah, smells really good, by the way.
They smell great. They have great fillings, but their actual pączki dough is very bland. I think it's less sweet and it's a different shape. It's more bready. So actually, but I love the fillings they have.
Mikey is kind of professing some kind of discrimination.
No, but I'm saying is there's basically a good normal pączki is basically the same everywhere, but there are some places where they make it a little subpar.
Fungible. That's the word for today.
Oh, so right. So this kind of like branded pączki chain that I've seen. There's one on Stradomska, I think, not far from here, just around the corner, and I've seen them elsewhere. That it's and they just do donuts all year round. That's all they specialize in. And their donuts are not very good. Is that what you're saying?
No, they're fine, but they're not fantastic.
But do they stand out visually somehow, or? Could you pick them out of a pączki lineup?
Yeah, because I've noticed, at least I'm under the impression that their shape, instead of being round, they're a more elongated.
See, you have to do something to make it stand out. Otherwise, they're exactly the same. That's my point. Again, and I make the same point again.
And the other debate in Poland is always glazed or not glazed.
Glazed or powdered.
Yeah.
Your expression or the... Oh, right, yeah.
Let's move on. Actually, there's one more.
Here, so yeah.
There's one more food-oriented subject on my list here. This is a local thing. If you're not in Krakow, you'll be confused by this. Sorry, life is tough sometimes. It's the Holotargowa sausage thing. I passed by there the other night. There were minimum 30 people standing in line. Mike, you live not far away from this, so maybe you have an opinion on this. I refuse to believe that the Holotargowa sausage blue van that's been going there for ages serves sausage that is significantly better, again, fungible, just like the pączki. I think they pass that place at 2 a.m. when they're drunk off their ass, when everything tastes great, even zapiekanki in Plac Nowy, and they say, oh man, Holotargowa sausage is best ever. Man, no. It's the same crap you get anyplace else. Prove me wrong.
Well, first of all, it's hard to get a flame grilled sausage anywhere else in town, just randomly.
Oh, and by the way, let's see their health department certification. By the way, let's see their cash register providing receipts. By the way, it doesn't exist.
God, you're such a fascist.
This is a local. This place is a local legend.
I get receipts from them.
Really? Huh? You get receipts from this place?
Yeah.
Okay,
I've been there a few times.
I stand corrected, but I still want to see the little food truck. This place, the Blue Van has been going there for 20 years at least, right?
Ever since I've been here, and apparently there's already a store.
I'm just curious about if they follow all the rules and regulations that regular conventional restaurants have to follow.
I would have my doubts.
Anyway, since you're a regular customer, apparently, how would you rate their sausage compared to other sausages?
The thing is, there are no really other sausages in that part of town. You can get sausages when there are events on the main square.
Okay.
And usually those sausages aren't just all that great. These sausages are perfectly fine. If you have a barbecue or a grill in the summertime and you grill sausage, it's a simple thing that's just really, really nice. And, I don't want a zapiekanka or anything like that. A nice grilled piece of meat is just nice.
Now, I do mention that you say nothing about the flavor or quality of the sausage itself. It's just the convenience that you appreciate.
Convenience, and it's a decent sausage that's flame grilled.
Now it's decent. It's upgraded to decent.
I like it. I wouldn't advertise it as being something that blows your mind.
Exactly. It's your bottom shelf, low grade, generic, fungible sausage thrown over an open flame, like Josh says. Convenient, and it's kind of a local.
I once talked to them 10 years ago.
By at 1 a.m.
and asked them where they got the sausages, and I don't know if they were being serious or not. They said, "I go to Tesco." And I'm like,
I don't doubt that for a minute.
And exactly, especially since I've seen him. I think I've seen him open up these packs of sausages where there's 30 inside, which is the way you buy sausages when you get them.
See, if you came over to my place, if I invited you to my place for a July 4th cookout, and you saw me break out the Tesco sausages, you'd be thinking, God, you cheap ass John, Jesus Christ, you can't even get the good sausages. But the Blue Van guys go to Tesco, get their sausages, and the whole city praises them for having best sausage ever. Bullshit. Josh, jump in here.
Right. Well, maybe if Tesco was situated close to the centre of town and was offering up their sausages hot at 2 a.m., then we would have a kind of a point to be made. But I think that I don't have them very often. They're kind of tasty. I mean, it's like late at night when you've had a few drinks and you want a hot kind of smoky snack, then a sausage is good, regardless of whether it's the best sausage ever. I think that's we're kind of in agreement.
Grilled meat is good unless you really. It's hard to screw it up.
I have we have mentioned the Blue Van on several occasions in the past. We maybe haven't dedicated quite so much time specifically
as we should have. Yes,
but it has definitely been covered in the past, and maybe one or two of our octet of listeners will recall that.
200 episodes.
But actually, I wanted to just briefly mention something that I noticed recently, which is that on Platz Novi, they've done a little bit of rejigging in recent months, and they're now some kind of semi-permanent food outlets kind of arranged around the perimeter. Huh? And quite a lot of them seem to be doing kebabs, which I have to admit is not my first fast food snack of choice.
Most overrated food ever, but yeah.
But I would think that there's 3 kebab places on one side and there's at least one on the other side. So that means you've got a choice of 4 kebabs, which means you've got almost as many kebabs to choose from as you have zapiekanki.
A lot of choices.
Yeah, and you can't even get proper kebabs in this country anyway, with the exception of that Lebanese place on Vavjinsa, which does lamb kebabs.
Here's my theory on...
they have on, what's it called, on Platz Volne, there's one as well that does lamb kebabs. And for me, lamb is a kebab should be lamb.
Here's my theory on kebabs and zapiekanki to some degree. 1 in the afternoon, no thanks. 1 in the morning, oh yeah, man. Again, this is like the sausage on Hala Trgova. You get a few drinks in you, everything tastes better. In the light of day, no thanks. In kebabs, is there such thing as a good kebab?
Well, in London, there is.
Here.
I don't know. I've never had.
Or is it just like food to occupy space in your stomach?
Well, it's like 12 years since I last had a kebab.
The thing is, for a very long period of time, kebabs were one of the few things you could get here reliably that was spicy. And I like spicy foods, and a kebab was basically the only thing I had that was easy to get.
Remember the old kebab stand on the corner of Platz Dominikanska where McDonald's is now?
Oh, yeah. It's like first they were outside, and they had the actual whole inside. Yeah.
That place was legendary. Controversial for reasons I can't remember. There's some dodgy goings on there a couple of times, I think, that made the newspapers, but... This is going back 15 years. Okay, last couple of things I want to mention here really quickly. They're money related. Now... Just as a reminder, we've talked before on our show many times. In fact, we did a whole episode of the subject of Poland's national change crisis, about how apparently half the coins in this country were dumped in the Baltic Sea, and that's why nobody can ever have proper change at a cash register. You'd be surprised at how often this is noticed by people who are in the country for a very short time. This is mentioned quite. Have you seen this mentioned by, online or in various forums and discussions? Yeah. People always notice this. Anyway, 2 money-related things. Okay, and this one I might step on some toes here. Even the toes
with your sandals.
I might step on some toes that are here in the room with me. Even I don't know. Poland. What is with this thing with guys? What is with the thing with having a wallet that also has a change purse?
Well, it's surely connected with the whole kind of lack of change scenario that you just mentioned.
What's going on there? You guys use a wallet with change purse?
I really haven't used a wallet much in years now, but I remember when I had a wallet, often I would always go for the thinnest wallet I could find. But the problem then was that I would have
adding coins to it.
Yeah, there was a problem with the coins there, and I do have a couple wallets that have a little change person there, but I hated those because if you put more than 2 or 3 coins, it just becomes bulky and uncomfortable. Sure. So I would usually use that little enclosed place to keep something important that I didn't want falling out, but not for change.
Like what?
I'm married now, so I can't talk about those things.
Josh, what they should do really is kind of modify trousers such that there's a kind of, maybe up towards the waistband, there's some kind of opening with maybe a lining whereby you could actually, kind of deposit small coins or something so that they're, you could just, put your hand inside this opening and kind of get a hold of them. And then, maybe if the cashier would like some assistance in terms of, rounding up the sum or making the change thing easier, she just hold them out in your hand. And then...
I'll get to that. And that's my next point, by the way. So what about you and the man purse wallet thing?
No. I mean, I kind of...
No. Okay. That's what the answer I was looking for. Good. Thank you. Okay. So now I can say this. Is there anything less manly than opening up your change purse in your wallet? Sorry, you can get the most badass Clint Eastwood type walk up to a cash register, muscle bound and have badass lumberjack beard and everything. But the moment you open your change purse in your wallet, sorry, things have changed. It's just weird. No, please, yes.
I agree with you. That change purse, there's just I'm so glad now we have contactless payments, and I barely don't have.
It's a different world, yeah.
He was like a changed person.
One more thing with money. Josh kind of mentioned it. What is with this thing, particularly among old people in Poland?
Is that what you want me to?
Where they the with the hand, where when they're at the checkout register, let's say the supermarket, instead of going through their own change, they'll hold out their hand full of change and let the cashier kind of sort through it and looking for the coins they need. That is, I'm sure you guys have seen this. I find this bizarre.
No, John, it's completely straightforward. As you've already spelled out very, very clearly, there is a chronic shortage of change in this country, of presumably every denomination. But that doesn't mean that shortage of denominations is evenly distributed around every checkout within a store, or even every store within a mall, or even in a metropolitan area. So what the good customers are doing is saying, it may be, yes, I could kind of add a few coins in here that would make it an easier thing for you to keep your change. But maybe you have a particular shortage of 2 groszy coins. Maybe you have an abundance of 5
that doesn't explain why the old people just stick their hand out and say, here, go through my hand and take the change you need. That's weird.
Poor eyesight. They don't want to bother. They don't know exactly how much they have to pay. So it's here's some change. You figure out what you want from that.
I would estimate I've spent roughly a combined total of about 6 months of my life standing in line behind people at checkout lanes waiting for them to find the right change.
Sorry, Mike, but I just got to say, what I find far more infuriating than that is once that whole kind of bizarre ritual has been completed, the person then decides to start putting their shopping that they've now paid for into the bag. So wait,
who's putting what in what bag? What?
People, come on! Now this is my one. What really gets on my tits is people when they kind of
You have nice tits, by the way,
but you're in line at the supermarket checkout, kind of it's your turn. Your goods start going through. Now, when it's me, as the goods are going through, I'm putting them in a bag because I want to do the job as quickly as possible. And I want to be out of there, And
I'm with you.
The optimal solution is that everything is in the bag just at the moment the cashier maybe doesn't smile at you, but tells you what the total is.
And ready to go out the door.
Yeah. And that means that as soon as I received my receipt and, the card has been approved or the change has been sorted out satisfactorily, I can leave and everything is clear for the next customer.
Yeah.
But so often the person in front of me kind of like is, actually doing nothing really, or maybe just like making sure the cashier is not kind of double dipping or something.
And then
like
only after they get their change, then they start bagging everything. Of course, I'm with you on that.
Like you have no place to put your stuff because I hate that as well.
And especially in these days at places like Lidl where there's like a tiny, tiny little area, after they scan it, there's like a tiny little edge there basically to keep tons of stuff. Oh, I'm with you, Josh. But is that a Polish thing?
Yeah, I mean, people in the UK are really good. Plus, actually, the checkouts are bigger, and they've usually got one of these kind of sweeper things. So if someone hasn't finished bagging on one side, you can kind of drag
I see those less and less often nowadays. I don't know what's changed. It's like I don't see that so often anymore. But I know what you're talking about.
Interesting. All right. I see that we hit 40 minutes, so what's another 3 minutes? Who cares? We're past time anyway. I'm going to drag one more thing into this. I put this link up on a document. I think Dr. Mike, you may have seen it earlier. I'm going to catch you off guard with this. I'll understand if you don't know too much about it because it's really obscure, but it's on my mind because I got a letter from the government the other day giving me telling me I have to pay some money. I'm really pissed off about this. Again, this is something that as a foreigner, I am completely baffled by this. In Polish, it's called użytkowanie wieczyste. Now, I'm using the Polish term because there really is no English term. This is a Polish thing. On Wikipedia, it tells me it's called perpetual usufruct.
Perpetual usufruct. Fantastic old legal term.
Okay, so again, once again, in Polish, it's called użytkowanie wieczyste. Here's the thing. Okay. In the 1960s, in the good old days, when the free market reigned in Poland in the 1960s, the government, in its communist wisdom, decided that in the cities and urban areas, it would be better if all land belonged to the government. Now, this is where they were kind of experimenting, in the countryside. They let some farmers have some degree of ownership over the land. And went, okay, but in the urban center, in the cities, all land belonged to the government, which is kind of not surprising given that everything belonged to the government, not only land at that time. So anyway, fast forward to 1989, 1990, things change, the revolution comes, but the użytkowanie wieczyste stays. And in fact, we still have it, 30 plus years after the end of communism. This is the effect that it has. For example, take the place where I live. A private developer, bought land from an individual or a company, private individual, money changed hands, they bought the land, and then the developer got all relevant permits and permissions to build the apartment where I live. Now, this is a situation that's obviously been copied all over the country millions and millions of times. But despite the fact that the private developer bought the land from a private person, the government, the national government, still owns the land in some weird sense, somewhere between outright regular ownership and like a temporary, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a lease or something?
Between ownership and lease, exactly. The government owns it, so I owe them. So despite the fact that I paid the developer, who in turn paid the previous owner of the land for the apartment, and I own the apartment, the government owns the land that the building is on. So I have to pay the government for using their land. Despite the fact that, again, the developer bought that land from somebody else who owned it. No. I owe the government based on this rule, this law built in 1961. This applies to people all over the country, and I have to pay them. It's about 350 zlotys a year, depends on the size of your apartment and whatnot, for using their land, even though it's really not their land and hasn't been since God knows when. Dr. Mike, please point me in the direction of some logic or some way I can understand this insane rule.
We have to, I think, step back and realize that as an American, you probably have a different concept of the idea of property and land ownership. And in most of the world,
I guess,
besides the idiocy of property taxes, but we don't have to go into that.
Which is an American thing.
Basically, in the United States, when you own something like the land, it's yours. And generally, with implied that most of the rights associated with that land is yours as well. In Europe and a lot of the world, you don't actually really own the land in the same idea. It's like, say, the commons that you've bought into that part, and that part is yours, but there are limitations to it. And I think even in the UK, when somebody owns land there, it's the Queen's, isn't it? There's like 99 years, which it's everybody knows that you actually own it, but in an obscure way, it's actually all the Queen's or something like that, isn't it?
No, actually, that's not true. I mean, it's a little bit too complicated to go into in a program as short as this, but you can have kind of like more or less property rights in perpetuity. But actually, I realise it's not quite my turn yet, but you've kind of handed the baton to me. Kind of something that's amusing is that in Singapore, it's completely impossible to have private property rights. You have very often you'll have a 999-year lease, which
so de facto you own it, but de jure you don't.
Exactly right, yeah. And I mean, Singapore, of course, is a very kind of oppressive command economy where no kind of,
they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's just frustrating when I get this letter that I have to pay them because I'm on their property. And I'm thinking, no, I didn't buy this from you. What role do you have in it? And this is just a naked cash grab, Dr. Mike. This is nothing more than a give me some money or else kind of thing.
But now I believe that they are suggesting that people can buy it out fully now.
Yeah, if you pay 20 years up front, but then at a discount.
But if you pay it all, because you can either break it down into 20-year payments, but if you pay it all in once, then there's like a 60% discount.
Yeah, that's
like
exactly.
But if you got, and there are other. Actually, you should look into it because for multi-children families, it's even higher discount. It's like 99% or something like that. So
the government gets the financial benefit of their so-called ownership. They have no responsibilities. They're not going to help me clean it up if there's a problem. They're not going to maintain it. No, they're completely hands off when it comes to the obligations, but when it comes to money, well, it's hands out, and they want some cash.
It kind of takes me back to
I don't get this.
Where when I was working in law offices 20 odd years ago, and you could get all these property contracts, and it would sometimes refer to an existing right of usufruct.
Usufruct.
What a fantastic word that is. Even
sounds like an old king of Belgium or something.
It sounds like somebody's getting screwed, basically.
yeah, I think it's
okay, I guess it does.
That would be King Usufruct, the extortionist.
All right. Well, we have been all over the place in this episode. Jesus Christ, how many subjects did we cover? But again, these are just things that are just, as an outsider, it strikes me as just odd. Again, a couple of things I'm just skeptical, like Halny. A couple of things I think you're just wrong, Poland. Sorry, like standing in line for pączki. Others I just kind of find weird. Tell us what you find weird. Oh, and by the way, if you want to throw it back in my face and say, "Oh yeah, well, what about you doing this in America?" Well, yeah, okay, fine, go ahead. I'm happy to hear it. Not a problem. Anything to get our Facebook page going. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. 200 episodes of the Crackcast. Thanks a lot for that.
We're going to party like it's 2020.
It is 2020.
Shit.
Oh, that's the joke? Okay, I'm sorry. I just completely stepped on that, didn't I? Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time on episode 201.